Welcome in, everybody. It's two-way tonight, and I'm Mark Halperin, your humble tour guide through the evening, the day's events, and beyond for the two-way community. Humble servant, servant's heart, here to serve. Thank you for being part of it. If you'd like to get in the conversation with our two great guests, and when I say great guests, I mean it, Steve Elmendorf and Hogan Gidley, please raise your hand if you're here on the two-way platform. If, perchance, perhaps you're watching on YouTube or X, don't raise your hand and don't put smack in the chat. Peace, love, and understanding, which is the name of Hogan's three cats. Peace, love, and understanding. Please display that, reflect that, evince that, as well as extending the presumption of grace to all. Couldn't be happier to have Hogan and Steve here because they're experienced. They know about the executive branch, they know about Congress, they know about the courts, they know about Washington's all-powerful lobbying community, and they'll be here in a moment. And when they do get here, we'll bring them in. We'll run through the news. Categorizing the news. We got a lot on the shutdown aftermath. Nothing like a good shutdown aftermath. So we'll tell you about what's going on with the reaction of various people to the shutdown as we wait for the House Rules Committee to do its magic and then send things on to the floor where final passage is expected under the Mike Johnson's like the Mickey Mouse character in Fantasia, just performs magic tricks. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about this BBC story still percolating around. Two top officials from the BBC forced out after questions raised about various things, including how an interview or sound bites with President Trump were treated in a special. Interesting thing, in the olden days, if two political people had a conversation, whether one or both of them said this is between us or off the record, it was kind of assumed it was. I have conversations with people all the time where they don't say off the record because they just know me. They know I'm not going to burn them for a conversation like that. But there have been a couple instances of late where people have had communications that either texts or phone calls that one party thought, well, that's implicitly private. And the other party is like, oh, no, I'm publishing that. We'll show you one of those, and we'll talk about the substance of it. This involves a guy who's running for governor of Florida, but we'll also talk with our two guests about the kind of the mores, the practices of, and again, it doesn't just apply to politics, but yeah, it does apply to politics and journalism. So we'll talk about that. I was at a party with Hogan last night, and he said all sorts of things he wouldn't want me to publish, but I didn't publish them. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the president's working the refs on the Supreme Court case that's pending involving his beloved tariffs, and of course we'll talk Epstein because many of you say to me, Mark, it's not a full episode of Two Way Tonight. It's not complete in my heart and my head unless you have a Jeffrey Epstein segment. So I'm not saying we made it up, but we're only doing it to appease those of you who are Epstein obsessed. Again, if you're here on the platform, want to be in the conversation, I recommend you raise your hand. And I won't say we need 3 new people tonight, but I would like 1 new person. So if you've never raised your hand, please do. And now a timely word from one of our sponsors. This is a new sponsor this week, and I couldn't like them more. ChefIQ.com. Very timely because cooking at Thanksgiving can be very stressful. I told you the other night about my friend who told me this horrible story about that. Put the turkey in the oven, it didn't cook because the oven wasn't really working. But they were out of time, so they sliced the turkey kind of raw, like sushi or turkey crudo, turkey sushi, and then they put it in the microwave and tried to cook it that way. I still feel grossed out just thinking about it. But you won't have that problem if you go to chefiq.com. Use the promo code 2way 30% off to get the Chef IQ Sense wireless cooking thermometer. Hooks up to the app, tells you how to get the turkey at the 165 degrees Fahrenheit that's safe. Chef IQ Sense tells you when to flip it, to take it off, even how long to let it sit after it's been cooked. No more peeking, no more dried out turkey, just perfectly cooked meals every time. Works on everything. Steaks, chicken, fish, whatever it is you're cooking. You'll wonder, ladies and gentlemen, how you ever cooked without it. So it also makes a great gift, and get yours before Thanksgiving. Go to chefiq.com, promo code 2way for 30% off. That seems like too much. but I fought for you all. They said, Mark, how about a 20% discount? I said, no, no, no. The good people of Two Way, the community here deserves 30. ChefIQ.com, promo code Two Way. Ladies and gentlemen, your all-star panel, as they call them at Fox. I feel like they just use that promiscuously. This is truly an all-star panel. Steve Elmendorf is here, ladies and gentlemen. Steve, welcome.
Mark.
Very happy to have you here. Steve, last night, Hogan and I were at Butterfield. Is that what it's called? Butterworth? Butterfield? Hogan, what's that place called? Butterfield? Butterworth? Hogan,
Hogan's not
unmute.
listening.
Unmute. What's it called?
Butterworth. Yeah.
Butterworth. Have you been to Butterworth, Steve?
Mark, I have not been the Butler. I am a diplomat guy. I'm not a
Yeah.
Butler guy.
But you know what it is, right?
I know what it is. Yeah.
So this is on Capitol Hill. It's on the House side. Steve used to work on the House side, the People's side, and it's like a French bistro type place, and it's the restaurant of the Trump era. And it was my first time there, and I know one of the investors, and he took me back to meet the chef. Although I gather he's not the main chef; he's like the backup chef. A very nice guy. And he asked me. He said, "What do you want? We'll cook something for you." So Steve, whenever a chef asks me that, you know what I always ask for? No matter what the restaurant. What do you think I ask for? What do you think?
A cheeseburger?
No, but that's a good guess. Mexican food. Because I always have Mexican food for family dinner with the staff because they all want Mexican food. And so they've all got Mexican food like secretly back there. So I had some tacos and they were anyway, and Hogan was there. Hogan, you wanted to share anything about your evening?
No, it was nice.
Typical modesty from Hogan. Third place in the limbo competition, first in the egg toss.
That's true.
He won't tell you that but he'll let me brag on it.
Do you want to tell everyone we won the three-legged?
Yeah. Well, we did that together, but I just want to talk about your performance. Anyway,
Okay.
A good time was had by all, and I'll go back. They told me I can get a table anytime. We'll see. It was it was not as crowded as usual because the government shutdown. That's my segue. Hogan, what's your verdict on the government shutdown? Like, if you were writing the Wikipedia entry about what just happened, what would like the lead paragraph be?
The Democrats voted to close the government, 15 times. Republicans voted to keep it open. And after the longest time period in history for the government to be shut down, 8 Democrats decided to change their mind and open the government, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that it was, in fact, the Democrat Schumer shutdown.
Steve, I don't use profanity on this show much, but that's kind of like a bullpocky explanation.
Look, Mark, I was in government for multiple shutdowns.
Yeah.
I'm not a believer in shutdowns. I don't think they ever work for anybody. I happen to believe in government. I know a lot of people don't. It's a bad idea. At the end of the day, will this have any long-term impact other than it had some very negative impact on people's lives? No, it's not going to change the course of our next election. The Democrats did not win. The Democrats did elevate the healthcare issue in a significant way, I believe. The polling's pretty mixed all around, but generally, I think when John Boehner shut the government down, it was a bad idea. When we shut the government down, it's a bad idea. We just shouldn't shut the government down.
Yeah. So, Steve, let me ask you, because you understand the culture, the anthropology of your party. Why is everybody so mad at Chuck Schumer?
You know, people like to get mad at Congress. I think all this madness at congressional leaders is sort of beside the point. I mean, as we saw in the election we just had, I think congressional leaders are important in how they run their caucuses. But like, if you look at the 2 most consequential congressional leaders of my lifetime, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi, neither of them were popular with voters. And at various times, they weren't as popular with their caucuses as we thought. So, you know, I don't think it's all that relevant to what we're going to happen in the future.
And there's the alligator euphemism about you go to feed the alligator, it's going to come for you last. It's the Robespierre. I made the guillotine, but sooner or later it got him. It's similar here. I think Schumer was so afraid of AOC. He's like, I'm going to stand up to Trump here, even though I voted for the same exact thing 6 months ago. Watch how tough I can be. The problem is it was too little too late for the radical base, and now they're coming after him and refusing to let up. I thought their ire may be kind of shifted away from him into the 8 Democrats who decided to vote for this legislation, open up the government. But it seems like, no, he's the cause celeb or the soup du jour, and that's what they're ordering.
But I
Yeah.
think you need to remember all of this is chatter going on online and in social media. And I
Yeah.
think one thing we saw on Tuesday is a lot of what we all sit around here and talk about is not all that relevant.
Yeah.
The voters came out on Tuesday and gave Democrats a 10 for 10, and they did it on the issue of affordability. And they didn't do it on who's leading what party or on AOC or on Donald Trump was partially about it because he's not delivering on affordability for people. But every Democrat who won on Tuesday, there's a through line, whether it's Mondami or whether it's Spamberger, which is they talked about affordability.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
All right. One of my favorite expressions in journalism, though. That having been said, I'll just run through some headlines, then we'll talk about the real lives of real people. Here's number one. Continues to be the kind of like the press inside baseball framing. This is the Wall Street Journal. Progressive blames Schumer after shutdown strategy collapses. Number two, this just updates you on where the House stands. Hogan's close personal friend and client, Speaker Johnson, summons House back to D.C. to end shutdown as Jeffries tells Democrats to vote no. Either of you doubt it will pass the House?
It will pass.
Yeah,
Government will
Hogan,
be open
it'll
tomorrow
pass.
I think
night.
so.
Okay. Then here's Donald Trump. After he did his event for Veterans Day, you guys are both massive sports fans. Pat McAfee on ESPN. He's got a show that people really like, very chatty. Somebody told me I should be more like Pat McAfee, so I need to look into what that means. Anyway, here's the president talking to Pat McAfee of ESPN about the shutdown. Number three, please.
So the House is going to vote, and I think they're going to vote positively. I think most people want to see it open. Only people that hate our country want to see it not open because our country is doing so well, so we don't want to waste these times. These are precious times. You know, we have $17 trillion plus being invested in our country. That's many times more than any country has ever had. We don't want to be wasting time. So they tried to basically renegotiate the great big beautiful deal. They weren't able to get it, and now they said, let's close up our country and we'll see if we can get it. But again, getting it for people that came into our country illegally from prisons, from gangs, from mental institutions, from places that you don't want, and giving them think of it, $1.5 trillion in medical costs and things. You just can't do this. You can't do it. And it ruins it for everybody else. So they were not successful in renegotiation, and it looks like it's going to be opened up. But you're right. It's the House has to vote, and then, of course, I have to sign it.
Okay, so once again, I don't know your guys' world. I assume everything you just said there will have some people very pissed about it, and then obviously the rest of the world, United States of America, will be very excited that the government is back open. So I think that deserves a big hoorah! Yeah, I think they're loving it. The government's back open over here.
Well, we got the military paid anyway, Pat. You have to understand. There's no way we weren't going to pay the military.
I feel like I'm a lot like that guy. I don't know that I need to change a thing. Steve, healthcare and the Obamacare premium extension. I have people that affects the real lives of real people, and a lot of Democrats say this plan allows the party to keep framing that issue and have a fight where they either can help the people or make Republicans own the failure. I have people telling me it's definitely going to pass, and I have people telling me it's definitely not going to pass. And by pass, I mean not just the Senate, but the House and signed into law. So how do you think that will go between now and December?
I would have told you a month ago, I thought it would definitely pass. Today, I'm not so sure. I think the president's leaned pretty hard into a message that it doesn't need to. We'll see if he changes. You know, we've seen polls from his own pollster saying if the Republicans don't do this, they're going to pay a big price in the midterm elections. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I think it is the reality, though. Part of the political problem that the president has and Republicans are going to have is people see these increases like they're going to get a bill and they're going to have to pay it. And it's not, you can talk about it all you want or say it's not happening, but they're going to get a bill and it's going to be more and they're not going to like that. And they are going to take it out on the people who are in power. Yeah.
Hogan, Steve's saying very succinctly what many Democratic members of Congress are saying and other strategists. How does your party address and deal with the reality that healthcare premiums are going to go up? Democrats say, let's address it. And your party says, humana, humana, humana.
No, that's not what they're saying. First of all. Second of all, I think Steve's right in that they will most likely blame the party in power, but much like 10
Well,
to
not
20
just, sorry to interrupt, but not just the party in power, but the party which is not made this a priority.
Okay, my mind's gonna
Well,
melt.
your party has not made a priority of extending the Obamacare subsidies.
Mark,
Yeah.
the reason we're talking about this is because it failed. You are paying more because Democrats got everything they wanted. It's their Obamacare. No
Yeah.
Republican voted for it. And now we're in a place where you're seeing skyrocketing premiums,
What's
hold on.
Yeah.
No. Which, by the way, were written by Democrats and voted for by Democrats to sunset at the end of this year. And if we can't get rid of a COVID era provision when there is no global pandemic because of COVID now, what the hell is happening here?
Okay, all your points are good. What's Speaker Johnson and President Trump's plan to make healthcare more affordable?
First of all, in the One Big Beautiful Bill, there was a cost-sharing provision that would have brought premiums down by 12%. Democrats in the Senate took it to the parliamentarian, plucked it out, and said, enjoy. And the parliamentarian said, no, you can't have that. So premiums were not going to come down because of the One Big Beautiful Bill, because they refused to have that conversation.
Before Steve fact checks you on that, you're doing ancient history. Today, what is President Trump and Speaker Johnson's plan to make healthcare more affordable?
I am most certain over the course of the next several months, when this debate becomes a reality and a conversation where, as you know, people in the House and the Senate and the White House will have to deal with the realization.
Why don't they have a plan? Why don't they have a plan today,
What they are going
Hogan?
to do, I don't know what they're going to do.
Why don't they have a plan today?
The current system doesn't work.
Well,
so
okay,
it's clear we're going to have to fix it.
But President Trump has been railing against the ineffectiveness of Obamacare for a long time. Why doesn't he and the Speaker? Why don't they have a plan now?
Well, I didn't say they didn't. What I said was,
what is their plan? What is their plan?
Well, I'm not going to get ahead.
What are the bullet points?
I'm not getting ahead of the Speaker. I'm not going to get ahead of the President.
The reality is, on
Steve, let me just say, I'm giving Steve a machete, a piñata, and no blindfold. Have at it.
I'm not going to get into the weeds about the Senate parliamentarian who's not a Democrat or a Republican. The One Big Beautiful Bill was passed by the Republicans with only Republican votes, and if they didn't lower healthcare costs in that bill, it's all on them. Second, the Republicans have had years to come up with a healthcare plan. Where's your healthcare plan? I haven't seen one. Donald Trump has said since he first got elected president, we're going to have big, beautiful healthcare. I haven't seen any big, beautiful healthcare. They have yet to come up with a plan. So if you don't like Obamacare,
it's a secret.
If you don't like Obamacare, you run the Congress. What's your plan?
The mere fact we're even having a conversation about healthcare shows you it didn't work. Your plan didn't work.
Hogan, the more you say Obamacare didn't work, the greater onus it would seem to me to be for you to say, and here's what we're going to do to fix it.
I don't concede that Obamacare doesn't work. The fact of the matter is it got a lot more people covered. It actually has brought down costs. It hasn't.
Then why are we having a conversation? It hasn't brought down costs. No, it hasn't brought down costs. It's gone up at least 60% in some cases.
And it got rid of pre-existing conditions, which was the #1 problem that many people don't like and still don't like, and that Donald Trump and the Republicans seem to want to bring back.
Hogan, let's try it this way. Let's just stipulate that Donald Trump and Speaker Johnson don't have a plan. We can stipulate that because they don't. Why don't they have a plan?
I disagree.
Because name the plan. You follow it closely.
No,
they have a secret. They have a secret plan.
I've done this long enough to know.
Hogan, they have a secret plan. Is that what you're saying? You don't
want to.
No,
what I'm saying is I'm not going to get ahead of anything Republicans are going to have, and not to mention the fact.
But Hogan,
Mark.
If they had a plan, they'd tell us.
Obnoxious.
No.
It's very clear. Speaker Johnson has publicly said we are going to have this debate and we're going to present something to the American people.
Right.
He's not going to try and go in the back room like the Democrats did and ram it down your throat, pass it before you know what's in it, a la Nancy Pelosi. They're going to have that conversation. Not to mention the White House has also been out in front of this and talking about they have a plan as well. I am most certain.
But Hogan, they don't have a plan.
Much like the 20 million people that came into this country illegally, don't worry, we fixed it. Much like the spikes in crime, we fixed it. Don't worry, the economy was in shambles, fixed it too. And now we're going to fix this as well.
Really?
Don't worry.
You fixed the economy? Yeah.
Inflation's way lower than it was ever under Joe Biden.
True.
It's
inflation is
gas
not
prices
lower
are record
than
lows
it was.
as well. Egg
Inflation.
prices are down. I don't know what you're talking about.
Factually untrue.
Hogan, let's just stick
Inflation
with
is
healthcare.
not down from last year.
Yeah, Hogan, let's talk about healthcare. Let's talk about healthcare. Again, I appreciate that they say they're going to work on it, and I appreciate an open process.
Sure.
But the president's been against Obamacare for a decade.
Of course. So have we all.
So where's his plan? Not even a comprehensive plan. What are his ideas that he's for? He says he's kind of for this idea of not sending money to the insurance companies and sending it directly to people.
Sure.
Is that been studied? Has there been hearings? It's a good idea.
No, I don't know the White House's plan because I don't work at the White House anymore. And even you, Mark, it's been a while since you've been in and around campaigns. But there's a cardinal rule about not actually getting ahead of your principles, number one. And number two, why would we put something out now to have Democrats shoot at it? This is going to be a conversation
Logan,
to actually address the problems that they caused, much like all the rest of them.
Let me ask you one more healthcare question, then Steve will have one more, and then we'll move on. What's the biggest problem in the healthcare system today?
Affordability, cost.
Affordability, cost. Steve, do you agree with that?
The cost of insurance is the biggest problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Insurance is tough. You know, people talking
It used
about
to be, I'd say the biggest problem was getting more people covered, but the ACA took a big step in that.
Hogan, do you concede that the Affordable Care Act has covered more people?
Of course.
Do you agree that it's good for the country when more people are covered?
I think more people having health care is good. The question becomes, can you get quality health care and can you afford it? I don't like the fact that illegal aliens get free health care in this country that Democrats support. I hate that and reject it out of hand.
Yeah. Steve, I'm going to have to ask for your forbearance because we're now going to talk something that most real people don't care about. All right.
Okay.
That's the BBC. This BBC officials forced resignation over a number of things, including BBC aired, they didn't produce it, but aired documentary about January 6th. And here's some of you hadn't seen it. I hadn't seen it till earlier today. Seeing is believing. Shows better than tell. Here's the juxtaposition between the way the documentary showed President Trump's remarks from January 6th and the way he actually said them. This is number 5, please.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you. And we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
Steve, how would you describe in a word or two your reaction to that edit?
I wouldn't defend it, but why do I care? Why do I care about the British Broadcasting Company? This is one, the fact that Donald Trump cares about this and is threatening to sue him is sort of fundamental to what his current problem is if I'm watching him, I'm like, this guy cares about Venezuela, he cares about Argentina, he cares about the British broadcasting system, he cares about Syria, he's meeting with the Prime Minister of Hungary. When is he going to care about me and my problems and my affordability and how I'm going to have a better life? Who cares what the BBC put on TV?
Yeah. Hogan, what do you think about Steve's point of view?
I don't care about the BBC either. I think he's right about that. What do I care? However, the interesting, I think, jarring juxtaposition of an entity that uncovered selective editing, a smear of somebody, and they actually held someone accountable is unique in journalism. Whereas in this country, if you're lying about Hunter Biden's laptop or Russia collusion, you get Pulitzers and then we call it a day. Yeah. I think there's a difference.
All right. Do you guys think the president will sue the BBC? What do you think, Steve? Hogan, what do you think?
Kenny, does he have any standing to sue a British company? Yeah. I have no idea.
Well, let's polymark it and see what the bettors in polymarket think. Number 9, will the president sue the BBC? The bettors of polymarket are partners who take wagers on all sorts of things. They say 21% chance the president will sue the BBC. And as you can see, it's gone down over the course of the day. This morning, it was much higher. I don't know why it's gone down, but it has, down to 21%. Interesting. All right, we'll follow that. He set a deadline, I think, for Friday for the BBC to hand him a sack of quids. Is that what they're called? Quids? Is that what they call them? I don't know. Anyway, all right, let's move on to this. Steve, if you called me up on the phone and we were chatting, and then you said, "Man, that Hogan Gidley, he's a Saudi lobbyist," and you never said it was off the record. but you just think, well, Mark and I chat, whatever. And then I went on Twitter and I said, according to Steve Elmendorf, Hogan Gidley is a Saudi lobbyist. Would you say, Mark, like that was a private conversation, or would you say, well, I never said it was off the record?
Well, I think one thing we've learned in the last couple years, is everybody should treat everything they say, write, tweet,
Yeah.
text
Yeah.
as the potential to become public.
Right.
People's text chains have gotten public. People's private DMs have gotten public. So
Yeah.
anybody who doesn't think that what they say to another person, a reporter or an elected official or anybody, does not have the potential to become public, isn't following the storyline here.
Yeah. All right, Hogan, I'm going to give you a different hypothetical. Say this episode ends and your phone rings and you pick up. It's Steve. And Steve says, you cock, how dare you? How dare you talk to me on the show like that? Would you feel it was appropriate to go on X and say, Steve Elmendorf just called me and said this thing to me, or if Steve texted that to you, would you feel it was fair game to do a screen grab and post that?
Well, first of all, he's done that many times.
I understand. So you're saying it's not really a hypothetical.
It's not really a hypothetical. Yeah. No, I wouldn't post it, but I'm more old school than that. I'm out in journalism, and
So I'm old school too. But here's who's not old school: James Fishback. James Fishback, an ally of Ron DeSantis, I've read, decided he was going to run for governor of Florida, even though the president has already endorsed Byron Donalds, who strong candidate in his own right, but the president's endorsement in Republican primaries is typically dispositive. So James Fishback reached out to James Blair, who's the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, the de facto political king of the White House, and said to him, I'm thinking of running for governor of Florida. And James Blair texted him back and said, yeah, president's already endorsed. And then Fishback used that exchange without permission to try to advance his candidacy. So here's James Blair's tweet, number 10. See if I can read this whole thing here. Fishback says that, well, they had a back and forth. This is not the whole thing. But anyway, you see at the bottom here, for those of you who are watching on YouTube or on X or two-way, Blair claimed he'd called him. And Fishback said, you never called. You literally called me yesterday and told me not to run. James, Trump has already decided Byron will be governor. And he says, I respect President Trump, but he actually blah, blah, blah. So James Blair says, that's also a lie. I called you yesterday and asked you why you lied to Politico about our, quote, conversation. You promised you'd keep all conversations private going forward. I didn't ask, and I expressed confusion at how you could think a text was otherwise. I then said it's free country and you're welcome to run, and that the president has a candidate and he keeps his commitments. We both know this enough, man. Like I said last night, it's a free country. Run your race, but try to be an adult about it. Because previously, I thought we had this too. Fishback had posted their screen grab of their text exchange in which, James Blair didn't say, don't you dare run, but he said you'd basically be unwise to run because the president's already endorsed. So Hogan, what do you think of this? Again, this has nothing to do with the real lives of real people, but it does speak to the culture of the interaction between political figures and has great germanity to reporters. Because I've been told things all my career that if I published, I would have gotten some news out of it, but that's just not the way I roll. Hogan.
I think these are two different categories. One's a question about off the record, on the record with a journalist and how you're supposed to approach that.
Yeah.
The other is a conversation with a candidate / Politico in the White House or pseudo relationship friend. I think it's egregious if you're going to have a conversation with someone for them to try and use that for either fate or votes or whatever. I got my own opinion on journalists, so we can talk about some great anecdotes if you'd like. But this to me is just slimy, to say the least.
Yeah, Steve, is dumb and slimy? Do you accept those characterizations?
I do. I mean, my favorite text and email is call me. I just think, very early on when texting, I can't remember how long ago when texting first became a thing, I was texting with a reporter and the reporter said to me, by definition, since you didn't tell me at the beginning of this text, it's off the record. This is on the record.
Yeah.
So I've always remembered that. But people just repeat other people's private conversations.
Yeah.
You want a quick anecdote?
Yes, please. We love good anecdotes.
When I first got to the White House, a reporter I knew, who shall remain nameless, came into my office and wanted to do a story on the communication shop. Said, I got to talk to Sarah, obviously, and we'll talk to the president and try and figure it out. but we'd like to participate, I'm sure, et cetera, et cetera. They walked out of my office, came back in and said, "Hey, wait, are you enjoying DC?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just new to town. Yeah, I never lived here, so it's been interesting." He goes, "You still working out?" I said, "Yeah." And I gave him he said, "What do you do every day?" I told him a routine. I said, "Great." Months later go by, we have this long conversation, we get the team on board, we all go on the record, we have this thing, and I get the fact checkers to call me to see if what this reporter had written, which is a common practice, to say a third party person will call you and say, "This person said you said this, is this true or not?" And the fact checker call and goes, "All right, I want to fact check some things." I said, "Sure." And they say, "Monday is back and abs." And I went, "I'm sorry, what?" That my workout routine was put into
Yeah.
this story after
Yeah.
just a friendly conversation.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a surprise. I wish I could say I was surprised, although I am surprised they fact check it. Mostly they just put it in. Uh, Sometimes there's a misunderstanding. The only time I've ever been accused of violating off the record were two cases where I would call them misunderstanding because I always err on the side of caution. But this operative thing, like this is sort of everybody's a journalist now, right? Because everybody can post stuff on social media. If every political operative took what the controversial or inflammatory things that another political operative said to them and just rushed the screen grab onto X, man, be in a different world.
Yeah.
In a different world.
It's a slippery slope, and it
Yeah.
shows a real seedy side of not
Yeah.
just someone's,
Do-
not just conversations, but also someone's character, I think.
yeah. Hogan, do you know James Fishback?
I don't know that I may have met him once,
Yeah.
maybe.
Seems foolhardy to run against the President Trump's endorsed
It
candidate.
does,
Seems foolhardy.
especially in Florida.
Yeah. All right. Supreme Court heard arguments on the president's tariff authority, and the questioning led many to believe that they'd rule against the president. But even the counsel for one of the plaintiffs trying to who challenged the president's tariff authority said, "Well, maybe just as the president's really concerned about having to give the money already collected back, so maybe let the government, let the Treasury keep the money already collected, but don't let them collect anymore." That was proposed as one solution. Sean Spicer is very skeptical about that. I've asked around, and judges can do whatever they want, justices. So I wouldn't be surprised if they ruled that way. And we don't know when they're going to rule. And again, I'm a broken record on this, but they should rule quickly. They want to be a co-equal branch. They shouldn't just be sitting around acting like they can, call the Pony Express and, do a bunch of research and then go out to dinner. Like, sit down with your clerks and get the thing written because the world's waiting. Anyway, here's the president's Truth Social post, 10B, on this matter. I call this working the refs. The president going on Truth Social and says the U.S. Supreme Court was given the wrong numbers. The unwind in the event of a negative decision on tariffs, meaning if they ruled that he didn't have the proper authority to do what he did, how much the Treasury would have to give back, would be including investments to be made in return of funds in excess of $3 trillion, because he's counting the money that other countries committed to invest in the U.S. because of the tariffs. It would not be possible to ever make up for that kind of a drubbing. That would truly become an insurmountable national security event and devastating to the future of this country, possibly not sustainable. I don't think maybe that's the way to spell sustainable.
Non-sustainable.
I find it a little odd because non-sustainable. I find it a little odd that he's being so doomsday, although, of course, he'll turn on a dime if he has to. Let's polymarket this question of will the Supreme Court approve Trump's tariffs, number 11, please? Bettors at Polymarket, who wager on all sorts of things, sports and everything, including public policy and campaigns. Here's what they say. 26%, only at 26% they'll rule in favor. And as you can see, it's come down quite a bit, probably in part because the president's tweet, or Truth Social post, I should say, 16% chance. You guys are both close court watchers. Hogan, do you think the Supreme Court will, in fact, rule in favor of the president's tariffs?
I'm not sure, but I'm going to do a little role play for you, even though you didn't ask. I know you enjoy these.
Yeah.
I think, or not role play, but prediction. I think what happens is they rule against the president on this is quite possible. If they do that, look for the president to call on Congress to do what he's asked them to do, because that's where the tariff power actually lies in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, the president has the right to do it in certain circumstances, of course. I'd be looking for him to say, all right, Congress, we got more rescissions bills. We got other things, reconciliation bills, rather. Good. Let's also add some tariff stuff in there too.
Steve.
Based on just reading all of SCOTUS blog and all the people who write about this who know a lot more than I do, it seems like they're going to do it, overturn what he's done, but it may be a nuanced decision with partially.
Yeah.
I do. To me, it all goes back to the question or the comment Hogan just made, which is I do think ultimately Congress should be involved in this, just like I think Congress should be involved in most things. And Donald Trump doesn't generally think Congress should be involved in most things. I think it's unfortunate they've sort of ceded all their power on trade and tariffs and a lot of other things. So it would be good if we got Congress to, and many Republicans in Congress have a long history of being against tariffs. I'd like to get them up to the plate and have them talk about what they really think.
Yep, get them on the record. Two more quick topics and then to your question. So if you're here on the platform, want to get in the conversation, please raise your hand. This guy, Bill Pulte, who's the head of housing, he oversees Freddie and Fannie and other housing agencies, and he's been very aggressive in all sorts of things. Has had some confrontations with the Secretary of the Treasury and pushed on the president, according to reports, this notion of a 50-year mortgage, and has been very aggressive on social media on some of these investigations into the president's political enemies regarding their mortgage applications. Here's what the Wall Street Journal is reporting today about Mr. Pulte, number 15, well, I'll read it to you. Fannie Mae watchdog probed how Pulte obtained mortgage records of key Democrats. FHFA's acting inspector general handed probe report to U.S. Attorney Office that had indicted New York Attorney Letitia James. So basically, it suggests now that the watchdogs, the investigators who were recently fired by Pulte, were investigating him when he fired them for potentially improperly obtaining the mortgage records of people like Letitia James. So the implication, Steve, is that perhaps he fired them because he didn't like the fact that they were investigating him. If true, how big a deal would that be?
Well, I think Mr. Pulte, in an administration that has a number of people who aren't qualified for their jobs, is sort of at the top of the list of people who are not qualified for his job, for starters. And it's shown not just on issues like this, but like we haven't spent enough time on the 50-year mortgage, which is one of the colossally worst ideas in the history of the world.
Yes.
And is thought to be a bad idea by a whole range of conservative bankers, public people, MAGA people. And this guy runs around and thinks it's and Donald Trump then grabbed onto it. So he's unqualified on a policy ground, on a personal ground. And clearly he's been trying to do things that he's not supposed to do.
So Hogan, picking up what Steve said, and I'll say again, he's had a physical confrontation with Scott Bessent, and it's been reported by several organizations that the White House was not happy that he got the president to talk about the 50-year mortgage. So I think it's safe to say, and I can say this from my own reporting, the guy's rubbed some people in the administration the wrong way. Is it possible, do you think, that there's a connection between the putting out of this story and the fact that he's developed some enemies within the administration?
Look, if you're asking me if backbiting in an administration is common.
Well, and was this a hit job? Was this a hit job?
You're asking me if hit jobs are common inside of administrations. I would argue yes.
Yeah, okay.
It would be, because what you're trying to do is get a certain goal reached, and however you can best do that using the bully pulpit of the presidency and your relationship, you can do it. I don't know the truth here. I don't know what's happening. I am a little concerned, though, just on the issue, and this is kind of a digression, but not really. The fact that Fannie Mae removed minimum credit score requirements mean a whole host of people are going to potentially be qualifying for loans that should not get them. And you're hurtling toward a 2008 crisis again, not to mention illegal aliens getting these scores as well. With one rent check you can, or one pay stub you can get. It's crazy. So I'm more concerned about the housing market writ large than I am about this backbiting story.
All right. I'll tell you an informed guess that more to come on this in this news cycle. More to come.
Yes.
It's my guess. All right.
You have good sources, Mark.
Yeah. On this one, I do. All right. The speaker is going to swear in a new member of Congress from Arizona. She says she'll sign the discharge petition, calling on the House to put out more of the Epstein files. This will not be signed into law because if the Senate did vote for it, the president wouldn't sign it. So it's all kind of symbolic and I'd say meaningless. But here's Ro Khanna, who along with Mr. Massey of Kentucky has led a bipartisan effort to get the House to move on the Epstein files, talking about where things stand now. Please roll. Kana.
Congressman, as a fake final question, my producer's saying I have to ask you a question about the discharge petition, because if there is something that may move along if the shutdown ends, is the discharge petition that you and Congressmember Massey put forward to release the Epstein files. Lots of people are still saying after Adelita Grijalva was sworn in that MAGA Mike's going to try to pull something to block the discharge petition by using some procedural maneuver. While I have you on, I got to ask you about that.
It's going to be huge. I mean, Adelita Grijalva is probably going to get sworn in Wednesday. 7 days after that, we will get a vote on the Epstein file. Now, that's 7 legislative days. I believe we are going to get that. I'll break some news. We're talking with Mike Massey now of getting another major press conference with the survivors early next week at the Capitol. There's going to be so much momentum left and right to say, out with the Epstein class. Rich and powerful people who abused young girls, who think they live by a different set of rules. America is done with you. We're done with that kind of elite impunity and corruption. And I believe we will get this vote. 60 votes, probably 60 Republicans will line up and vote for it. It's going to be the first day that Donald Trump will be a lame duck when he has 60 Republicans voting against him. So I am committed to this. That is one silver lining of the House opening back as it takes up this terrible bill, as Adelita Grijalva does get sworn in, and we will get that vote on the Epstein files.
That was the real final question. Thank you, Congressman Kana. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
So, Steve, you said American people don't care about who's mad at Chuck Schumer. They don't care about the BBC. They don't care about something else we talked about. I don't remember. Oh, they don't care about who leaks on who or who posts whose material. Do they care about this?
There seems to be a sizable number of people who care about it. Yes, we've talked about on this before, Mark.
Yeah.
My only view is I'm for transparency. I don't understand why we can't. Donald Trump was on the other day talking about how we ought to release the Amelia Earhart files. I mean, the RFK files, the JFK files, the MLK file. Like, he wants to release every file except the Epstein file. So just release them all. I don't get it. Like, what's the problem?
Hogan, I'm a student of your friend, Speaker Johnson. I don't know him well. I think I met him once or twice, but he seems uncomfortable when he talks about this. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but yeah, okay. Is he uncomfortable at all about the Epstein matter?
No, but he's also relying on Comer and his committee to get this done the proper way and actually have teeth to it. Whereas Massey and the others, it's more symbolic, as you pointed out on the front end. I don't know that what they're doing is going to matter much, because the House committee is in fact moving much quicker and with more information. They keep dumping out. They just went to his his mansion and released stuff just recently. I mean, more stuff will come out on this matter, no question. But they're also doing it with written in a legal way that provides, sharper teeth on the matter, but also that will continue to release more and more information as get it. But then third, protecting the victims here too, which is something the Massey piece did not do at all. So look, do I think people care about this? Polling shows they don't. Democrats had this for however many years and didn't do anything with it. So again, we'll come along and release more, but whatever.
Let me ask you, Hogan, what's your biggest unanswered question about the Epstein matter?
I don't want to get into a conspiratorial conversation on here. I've got my own thoughts.
Well, let me. All right, I'll ask you this: which is more of a mystery to you that you'd like to resolve? Whether Epstein really killed himself, or why Maxwell was moved to a minimum security prison?
I don't know. Maybe the Epstein killing himself part. Maybe.
Yeah, Steve, what's your big unanswered question that you'd like to see Congress get at?
Why is she if you care about the victims and she was one of the chief victimizers, why are we treating her differently than we would treat anybody else in her position in this country? Why are we taking her to a Club Med prison facility, and why is she sending letters asking for a commutation? I don't.
The whole thing is so grotesque and went on for so long. But
Hogan, if you were an advisor to the president, he said what you are, but if the president said to you, I'm going to pardon her or commute her sentence, when should I do it? What would you recommend? Thanksgiving Eve, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve? Would be the best
I
time
don't. I don't know that we're ever going to get to that point. And much
Yeah.
like I told you before, I wouldn't get ahead of the president or the
Yeah.
speaker. I'm not going to speculate.
He's gonna
I'm not
pardon
going to
her.
play in hypotheticals.
He's gonna pardon her or commute the sentence. I think he is. All right. In a moment, after a quick word from a sponsor, we'll get to your questions. Again, raise your hand if you're here on the platform, want to get in on the conversation. Cozy Earth still offering you 40% off all site products, everything on cozyearth.com using the promo code two-way. It's like Black Friday. Every day is Black Friday. Monday, Tuesday. Tomorrow will be Black Friday, where you can get 40% off by going to cozyearth.com. That includes the sheets, the towels, the bubble cuddle blanket, everything. These are things viscous made from bamboo. They help you when it's warm. They keep you cool, and when it's cool, they keep you warm. They're basically magic. They're made by Voodoo, and you can go right now to get it all, including the pants that I recommend. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth right now. 40% off on the entire site. Really nice blankets, towels, sheets, pants, shirts, everything. 40% off. Go to cozyearth.com. Use the code two-way, 40% off. Cozyearth.com, promo code two-way. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Here we go. Dwight, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Steve Elmendorf and Hogan Gidley.
Houston, Texas.
Yes, sir.
And my question, what's the process to remove Chuck Schumer, and can it happen before January of 2027?
The leader of the Senate is elected by his own caucus, not by the whole Senate. The Republicans elect John Thune, the Democrats elect Chuck Schumer. So the only process to get rid of him would be for the Democrats could go into a caucus and vote him out whenever they want to, if they wanted to. Similarly, Republicans could vote John Thune out if they wanted to. Unlike the House, the Speaker of the House is like a constitutional job that is elected by the entire House. The Senate leaders are elected by their own group.
So he's at will.
Yes.
Hogan, anything you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Dwight. Appreciate it. Very good question. John is a doctor in Nashville, Tennessee. Gives me good restaurant recommendations. And every time my elbow hurts, I say, John, what should I do about my elbow? Every time I touch it, it hurts. He said, don't touch it. John, welcome in.
Mark, how are you doing?
Good, sir. Thank you for being here. What's up?
I was going to talk about Bill Pulte. Can you believe it or not?
I can. Go ahead. Please do.
So just real quick, 38 years old. I got 2 kids. I'm an independent. I think we're not only hurtling towards 2008, but a combination of 2008 and 2001 in the setting of the dollar being debased and a global currency war while we're about to turn the money printer back on. So that's where I'm thinking we are.
Yeah.
Just for context.
That'd be a bad confluence.
Yeah. And it seems like that's exactly what we're doing right now with the overweight in the tech industry who are already asking for a bailout, a pre-bailout, which is new. That was usually after.
Yeah.
So Bill Pulte, I wanted to ask Hogan how this works with the president. From what I read about it, he showed up at Mar-a-Lago with a 3x5 card with a picture of Donald Trump and FDR that said greatest presidents. And one said 30-year mortgage under FDR and one said 50-year mortgage under Trump. And then Trump just tweeted that out, or truthed that out without really talking to anybody. How does that happen? How is this continuing to happen? Where 2 weeks ago it was about CZ getting pardoned, and Trump says, "Oh, I don't even know who that is." When it was like, "Oh, the guy committed pretty clear fraud in the crypto world, and just gave $2 billion to your son's company. Do you know who that is?" No idea who that is. Right? How is this happening? He talks about beef prices being too high and says we're going to basically, look at collusion between the cartels and the beef industry. Thomas Massey has a bill, the Prime Act, that's trying to address that, but he's trying to primary Thomas Massey while endorsing Lindsey Graham. So try to help me understand this, Hogan, of how do people convince the president to put something out on Truth Social without any real discussion that goes right against the very heart of this issue, which is affordability? Because to me, it seems like the administration is going full Biden on this and telling everyone that they're wrong and that their prices are not actually up when they obviously are.
Spectacular question. Hogan, how does that happen?
I mean, people get to the president all the time in various ways, either in the White House or at Mar-a-Lago or on the golf course. And, have conversations with him. It doesn't always go through staff. There's an old kind of, I don't know if this is a euphemism or what you would call it, but a lot of times in politics we call a candidate, an office holder's head, a gumball machine. It can be all red gumballs. Drop a yellow one in there, it's coming out sooner or later. You just don't know when. And I think a lot of politicians get a lot of information from a lot of places. Sooner or later, it's going to come out. They're told so many things, but as far as Trump is concerned, I think he's very welcoming with people and has conversations with people, and not everything is going to be filtered through a staff. I don't think it should be all the time, but you for good, bad in the first term, we all knew what Donald Trump was thinking every minute of every day via Twitter. And some people hate it, some people love it, but that's just kind of who he is and how he operates. But while you see it now, we're talking about now, I mean, all presidents get information from sources and then will utilize it in some form or fashion. Some kind of go through a process, some don't. But I don't know if that's a true story, and I don't know how this got out there either.
Steve, so why double down on the 50-year mortgage thing in the interview on Fox News and keep bringing it up? I know other people asked him about it, but he kept saying like, no, it's a good idea, when 95% of people on both sides says this is a terrible idea. And in fact, he kept going after that trough. And
John,
like,
yeah, well, listen, last I checked, my name wasn't on the ballot, so no one voted for me.
You're the only person I know who's close enough to him. I know. I'm a regular guy.
I just think sometimes when he makes a decision on something being good, whether it be a tariff, a tax cut, or whatever, a lot of times he wants to implement that. And I think this is another thing where he may be just kicking around. He is also known to kind of float things to see what happens out there. I mean, I think he announced Sarah Huckabee was running for governor before Sarah Huckabee decided to run for governor, because he made the point she'd be a great governor of Arkansas. So I just, who knows? Yeah.
Steve, do you know that gumball metaphor?
I hadn't heard that one before.
It's a good one, Hogan. It's very vivid. John, thank you. Great to see you. And I love when you dabble outside medicine, and thanks for the advice about my arm. Don't touch my arm. One more quick sponsorship from our folks at CB Distillery. Go to cbdistillery.com. 25% off of the full site products using the promo code TWOWAY on nights when you just can't sleep. Maybe you've worked out, you're feeling a little bit sore. The products from CB Distillery might be able to help you. Over 2 million people trust the products from CB Distillery. Highest quality, clean ingredients. No fillers, just premium CBD. You can imagine waking up without nagging aches and pains. Get more sleep if you're ready to try that. More sleep, less stress, and feeling good in your own skin again. Try the products from CB Distillery. Right now, again, save 25% off. It's something you want to try. Saving 25% off. That's about a quarter off, according to my calculations. Use the promo code TWOWAY at cbdistillery.com. Again, cbdistillery.com. Promo code TWOWAY for 25% off. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I have to end a little bit early. So, Sam, I'm going to ask you to come in, but just be super quick. Going to have to do the whole exchange in like a minute and a half. So, unmute. Tell folks where you are. One quick question. There you go. Quick question.
I just want to understand the whole $10,000 for all the flight for the people that what Trump was talking about last night, because I have a lot of people in their 20s that are in my family that have been affected by the shutdown.
Yeah.
And this whole thing between like essential workers and non-essential workers, I feel like it's just like it was with COVID.
Little random.
Gives a message. It just gives a message like, you guys are important. You're not, and you worked like for the people I know that worked for 2 months.
Yep, Sam, it's a great point. Real quick, that's a great point. Steve, there's favoritism, right? Some people get back pay immediately. Some people get paid.
Well, everybody's going to get back pay because
eventually. But
their credit scores in the meantime, like especially the young people in the 20s. I mean,
Sam, I'm sorry, I got to cut you off because we're almost out of time.
That's why government shutdowns are a bad idea.
Yeah, Hogan, should people be getting bonuses and playing favorites, or everybody treated equally?
That's why Democrats should not have voted to shut down the government 15 times, is what I would say.
All right. Couple of news items. Jimmy Kimmel's band leader and childhood friend, Cleto Escobade, is that how you pronounce his name? Anyway, he passed away at 59. And New Hampshire congressional candidate, Shaheen, what's her first name, Steve?
Stephanie.
Stephanie Shaheen is going to be on MSNBC this evening. So we'll see what she says about
I was gonna say she doesn't like her mother's deal.
Probably not.
Right.
All right. Thank you all for being here. Right now, turn over to two-way. Michael Moynihan's channel, Moynihan Report. Nathan Livingston, an internet sleuth, joins Michael right now, 7 o'clock. And I'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time with the morning meeting. And this program will be on tomorrow. Special time again, 5 p.m. Eastern time here on the two-way platform. Couldn't be more grateful to Steve and Hogan. Hogan, I'm going to go on start posting exchanges we had last night inspired by the program. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Thanks to Steve and Hogan, and have a great night, everybody. I'll see you at 9 a.m.
Great.
Thanks.